what can people do in order to protect themselves when they find out that they're having those Mars placements?
Right. Yeah. So like you said, you had protection on you. So like every month, right, you know, when I send those reports out to you guys, my chief priority is to make sure people are not going to experience a negative aspect of Mars. My chief priority, I ain't gonna even lie. It's not even, hey, here's a money zone for you. Because I never want that to happen to anyone. Because one is undesirable consciously, and it's unexpected as well. Nobody's expecting to get in an accident when they go out the door, right? And so it's just no, you know what I mean? I've known people, if I had their chart, you know, people who got shot in the head, you know what I'm saying? And so the thing to do is, one is to release any tension that you have. I don't care what subject matter it is, what area in your life, it needs to get out immediately. So if you got to call somebody and curse them out, go ahead and get it out. Don't suppress it, get it out, whatever you got to do. You got to get it out of you, because you can't have the cellular vibration of that energy permeating inside of you. Just because you're not saying it doesn't mean that the universal energies of ether don't know what it is that you're feeling. In fact, how you feel is a reflection of what you think anyway. So you ain't fooling nobody, okay? So what you feel is just a reflection of thinking. This is why I don't like the term emotional, because it's a blanket statement for irrational conscious decisions, okay? So there's no such thing as I was being emotional. No, what you're really saying was I made the wrong decision in the moment that I was in my feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I consciously made a decision to do whatever it is that the person did. And it's just irrational. And so get it out of your system is one. Two, like on my rear view mirror, I got 3 crucifixes that I got from the Catholic store. Why did I go with the crucifix? Well, I'll tell you something. I think that we've all may have seen when an earthquake hits. It hit one year, it hit in Haiti, but for some reason it went around this tombstone that had a cross. There's stories about churches getting set on fire, but the Bibles don't get burned up. There's an invisible intelligence where it respects the universal energy of what this Christ energy represents. First of all, when you look at a cross, you're actually dissipating something that's coming towards you into the 4 directions, right? So if something, like, think about it, if something hits a cross and was to get split by the cross, literally something's going to go up, something's going to go down, something's going to go to the left, and something. So it dissipates energy into the 4 directions. It's dope. It's a banishing tool. You know what I'm saying? So to carry certain spiritual items, the Spanish community already know. They keep their rear view mirror laced. You know what I'm saying? Because light is intelligent. The waves inside of light and planetary waves is intelligent. This energy knows how to find you. And so perhaps if you have a force field up around yourself, such as certain prayers, or I always used to quote Gunplay, the rapper. That's why I roll with the Bible on the dash. And here is a dude who the world seen him go into an accountant's office and have a pistol and pull it out on the accountant on tape. But the accountant didn't come to court and the case got dismissed. Irregardless of there being a tape evidence, you seen the man, he ain't supposed to have a gun, anything, no way. But the case got dismissed. But here he is too, talking about he robbed with the Bible on the dash in that song, one of my favorite songs, because it's some spiritual gangster stuff on that one. It's like, oh, I got to rock with, you know what I mean? So you do things to protect yourself. It could be certain psalms that you say and just guide your own energy. And then once you, again, learning when these pockets are coming and then making sure that you don't have any internal frustrations is the key. I think, in my opinion, people should do some form of a yoga work to stretch out the meridians, to allow energy to flow freely, your attitude. And yeah, and mind your, and some things are just karmic too. You know what I mean? It's a karmic debt that has to be paid. but not being upset by it and trying to understand it and move on from it is the key. So
in your opinion, do you think your awareness of what's happening in the cosmos
make it happen.
intensifies it, or do you think
No,
it's gonna
yes.
happen anyway?
Yeah, yes and no, right? So that's a very good question, right? Because I remember it's a sister who she's into the Neville Goddard aspect of it, and then I tell her like, "Oh man, just be careful in your travels." And she's like, "Oh my God, ever since you told me that, it's like people start swerving in my lane," and I'm like, "That is not my reality," and I'm drawing this to myself, and I'm like, "Okay, you're right." And I'm not gonna say that you're not drawing it to yourself, right? Because thoughts are absolutely magnetic, and so my son, for example, man, this dude sucks in retrogrades. Like 3 cars he didn't wreck in a retrograde. And the last one, we went to go buy it in a retrograde. I'm just tell you, like, if he wrecked his first car in retrograde, and then he come to me for a loan, and I was like, dude, you really shouldn't right now. In my opinion, I don't think you should, but I'm gonna give you the money, but I'm just letting you know it's your choice, right? So I played that option first. I'm not trying to force what I do on you, but I'm gonna let you know what's out here. He gets the car anyway. Maybe a year had it. Somebody run into the back of that, and he had gap insurance, so they totaled that out. And so then he wanted the new fast car, the Dodge Charger. I think I may have posted that picture, the yellow car, the Super B. And I put 8,000 on it, and we make it happen for him. Me and my pops make it happen for him. We get it. Was in the retrograde, and I know this ain't the time that I should buy a car, and I know his history, right? But anyway, okay, let's go defy the rules. Let's go break it. Typical Aquarius, let's do it anyway. Man, he get that car. I promise you, he don't have that car for 30 days before it has to go to the shop, and they can't figure out what's wrong with it. They didn't drop, it's leaking oil, and it's blew the engine, and they didn't put like 3 engines, and it costs the shop like $14,000 every time they do this. Come to find out, it was a plug. You got to be one mechanic just knew it from a whole different other shop. Like, man, that ain't the engine ain't the problem. It's this plug that's loose to squirt the oil out, and all this time. So, but he gets the car, and not even 2 months later, he totaled it out on the morning of that eclipse that just passed. Totaled the car out. So never even had the car more than 60 days of drive time. You know what I'm saying? And it was a year in June that he just had, like, literally he only had the car for almost a year at the point when it got totaled, right? And so he asked to use my truck. And I'm like, dude, ain't you on the code red? Because I had told him he was in the code red before he got into an accident. And he wanted to use my truck because I got the big blue Ram, you know what I mean? And I got the sport edition, sunroof, the hood, and you know what I mean? And he wanted to use, I was like, dude, ain't you on the code red? And he was like, yeah, man, that stuff don't happen till I think about it. And I was like, nah, Because see, before you knew it, my point is with this, before you knew it, you was already in the cycle. I had to go figure your cycle out for you. You see what I'm saying? To show you. So you're not even conscientious of this shit to put attention on it to even make it work against you. You see what I'm saying? And so it's yes and no. You know what I mean? And plus, there is something that's super dope. There are 2 observation effects, observer effects. The first one you speak of, you putting your mind to it or you drawing it to you, that can happen. But there's another one in the realm of past life regression therapy, where you're able to see your past life and see that, okay, in this lifetime, you may have asthma, because my client, she had asthma real bad. But in the past life, when I regressed her, and that's another thing I do, right? It's past life regression. So when I regressed her, she died of cancer, lung cancer. You see, and immediately after coming out of that, she no longer had an asthma attack. Her asthma was so bad, she couldn't even be around incense, no smoke, like restaurants, barbecues, construction on the road, bust a U-turn. Like, she can't be around smoke, period. And then notice she happened to be by smoke and it didn't trigger her. She lit incense it didn't trigger her, and she hasn't had an asthma attack since 2013 when we did that session. It's to be 10 years next year, you know, and she was born with this. And as the book describes, miracles happen, past life memories, Dr. Brian Weiss, miracles do happen, the transformational power of past life memories. It's nothing but testimonials of people who had diseases, saw their past life and the cause of the disease, and it disappears in this lifetime. No therapy, no imagining, no herbs, no medicine, none of that. Just by simply being able to access the subconscious mind. And that's where it's really at for me. That's what I love to do. I love that work right there. So the observation effect in the subconscious deletes the negative program, but in the physical, you can observe something and it draw it to you. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on what plane you're on, because the laws can change. Okay. So
break that down. Depends on what plane you're on.
yeah. So like, for example, if something that's extremely cold end up turning hot, right? Like, wait a minute, it's cold, but if it's extremely cold, it can burn you.
Dry
You
ice.
know what I'm saying? Right, exactly. You know what I mean? So the vibration of it changed. You see what I'm saying? So when you go to a different state, in a sense, when you go to a different state, then it changes. The laws of it change. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, as well, I guess, to a degree, I wanted to use the whole solid liquid gas thing, in a sense, like it's this one thing, but that one thing can go through different states. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's this, but then it's bubbling now. Oh, now it's this. Oh, now it didn't totally evaporated, or you froze it and it became this. You see what I'm saying? So the laws change. You see what I'm saying? As you go through different, let's just call it, as you go through different vibratory frequencies, in a sense, the laws change. You know what I mean? And so it depends on you. The Quran had this beautiful statement, and somebody was coming with an omen, and the Quran said, your omen depends on your interpretation. I said, ooh, that's heavy. The omen depends on your interpretation, how you initially perceive it to be. That's what it's going to be. This is why me personally, I don't like pendulums to a degree, because the pendulum, if I had one, do I got one?
I got one.
You got one? Right. So let me see.
Okay.
All right. So you can hold that pendulum still, right? Oh, wow. I got one too right here. Right. So, all right. So you can hold it still, right? So hold it still, and let's do this thing where I want you to tell your pendulum to move towards your camera and in between you, like it's going back and forth. So you can already see mine starting to go, right? And yours is going to. Good. So I wanted to speed it up, though. Make it go faster. Go faster. There you go. That's good. And now let's move it into circles, you see. And so now mine's is going into circles, right? Now you can tell it to stop. And we're going to draw the energy to a standstill. And so you start to see it start to slow down. I see yours can't. You see how yours is? So it starts to stop. So my point is, and mine's finally going to come to a stop. There we go. And so my point is, the pendulum is reading your thoughts through electrical impressions, which could be your subconscious thought on the subject matter. So I don't know if I'm being, it's not a bad thing. It's not bad. I just see, I can get too philosophical, because how I know that it's not my subconscious that's telling me this is a no-no. And maybe that no-no is a truth, and it should be a no-no for me. But how do I know that it's not interfering with something that should be yes, when it's just a subconscious belief about whatever? You see what I'm saying? Because the thing ain't got a mind of its own to tell you anything. It ain't gonna tell you anything, in a sense. So it's reading the impressions, the impulses off of my subconscious belief. You see what I'm saying?